Hello YouTube, it's Lottie, the Sleepy Tea Lady, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I was considering doing a review of my favorite Earl Grey tea, the Tasso Earl Grey, but I decided it would be really boring because all I would really have to say about it is, it's good! So instead, I'm going to talk about the history of Earl Grey and really where it got started. Now, if you start looking on the internet for the history of Earl Grey, there is a flood of information. So I've kind of concised it down a little bit to what I thought was the most interesting and most relevant. So starting off, what is Earl Grey? Earl Grey is any black tea that has bergamot extract added to it, or the essential oil of bergamot. Now bergamot is a citrus, and it's considered like a hybrid between like a sour orange and a lemon. Some people think it's like a hybrid between a sour orange and a lime. It's very, very old, and nobody really takes credit in developing it, and they think it might be actually a natural hybrid that occurs naturally in the Mediterranean. It is very, very prized over there. It's very priced here. If you try to get bergamot oil, it's kind of pricey, and there's a reason for that. They mostly grow it in Italy, and they don't really grow it in a lot of other places as far as like producing it for selling and stuff. I've wanted to have a bergamot tree for a really long time. I love my plants. I have a satsuma tree, and I've got a little lime tree up there. And bergamot is definitely one that I want to add to my collection at some point, but enough of that. So Lady Grey is a variation on Earl Grey, and it is lots of different things. I found multiple descriptions for what Lady Grey is. I do believe Lady Grey is kind of, to have that on the box is copyright by Twinings, but lots of different people have their different blends, and the Lady Grey was an actual person, and I can't quite figure out what she defined as her sort of blend, but some descriptions I found, basically Earl Grey with cornflower flowers added to it, Earl Grey with lavender added to it, Earl Grey with Seville orange peels and lemon added to it. Who knows? Lots of different things. I don't know. So in 1994, the current Earl of Grey said in an interview that the history of Earl Grey was the first Earl of Grey sent an envoy to China, and on that trip, one of his men saved the life of a man's son. And as a gift, this man sent Earl Grey to the Earl of Grey, and it basically named this tea after him and gave it to him as this gift, this high quality tea. That's not true. And we know that because China was diplomatically isolated in the 1830s, which is when this would have taken place. And the story is normally attributed to the second Earl of Grey, Charles Grey. And he definitely did not go to China, and there's nothing that suggests that he ever sent anybody to China. Other accounts of this story say that he personally saved this man's son from drowning, and this was a high quality gift. Slightly more likely legend is that Charles Grey, the second Earl of Grey, and Lady Grey, his wife, were having water quality issues, and there was lots of calcium or lime in the water, and they couldn't get a cup of tea to taste right, and so they called a tea expert, a Chinese man, and he came in and brought this huge trunk of tea and all of his oils and extracts and leaves, and basically played with it until he found a way to mask the weird water taste, and that was bergamot oil, and Earl Grey was born, and it was named after the Earl of Grey. Charles Grey himself was actually a very interesting figure. He ran and was Prime Minister in England in the 1800s, and he actually removed the East India Trading Company. He removed the monopoly they had with China, and he really opened up those trade routes, and that dramatically reduced the cost of tea, it dramatically reduced the cost of transportation, and so tea took off. You can really thank him for how much the UK is known for tea today, because if it wasn't for him, it probably wouldn't have happened like that. So, these legends, there might be a grain of truth in them, but what's going on? So, High-grade Chinese tea has distinctive citrus notes. I don't know this because I don't drink high-grade Chinese tea. But the high-quality teas are said to like really, really have a smoky, citrusy flavor. And when tea took off in England, well, people wanted to have that really high-quality taste without the high-quality dollar. So what tea companies would do, tea shops, is they discovered that if they added a little bit of bergamot oil, it definitely mimicked the flavor. So this was really a way of kind of bumping up the low quality tea. It was definitely not something that was like, oh, a posh thing. It was something that was a way of saving money. In 1837, a company was actually sued for adding bergamot to their tea and not disclosing it. They were accused of drugging their tea with bergamot oil. And, you know, they were trying to make a buck. So that's really where it comes from. But bergamot oil is a really interesting substance. It's a very distinct scent. It's a very distinct flavor. I did not realize it was a citrus for the longest time. I just thought it smelled good, and I thought it was sort of an herb of some sort. I've known it wasn't for quite a while, but it's been used in Italian folk medicine forever, for everything. Fever and parasites and everything from tonsillitis to UTIs. It is actually an antifungal and an antibacterial. It does have some health benefits that have been proven. There were several like newspaper articles I found that were like, oh, drink Earl Grey tea, you'll lower your cholesterol. And so I looked into that, and I looked into the actual studies, and it's actually the juice, which is a byproduct of them getting the bergamot oil out. So while the oil may have some health properties, the juice is really the one that's been used in recent studies to lower cholesterol. That's not an endorsement to go out and drink a bunch of bergamot juice to treat your heart disease. You know, these were still fairly small studies. It takes a lot to get the funding for the bigger ones. So yeah, it's not, I wouldn't call it a miracle drug and stuff, but it's definitely a very interesting plant, and they say that the properties it has are not properties that you would get just from a lemon peel or a lime peel. Like it's very, very distinct. Interestingly enough, Twinings received an endorsement in 1939 by the 6th Earl of Grey, and he basically gave them permission to kind of claim Earl Grey, and they have the official Earl Grey because they were endorsed by the Earl of Grey himself, not the Earl of Grey, but an Earl of Grey. A few years ago, they attempted to change their formula, and there was an enormous backlash, so much so that I think they went back on it, or may have just rolled out like a new Earl Grey and kept the old formula. I'm not entirely sure. I should have followed through on that. But as far as my review of this, it's delicious. Earl Grey is delicious. I'm not a huge fan of black tea by itself, but put a little bergamot oil in there, man. I am with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscription if you'd like to see more like this, and let me know what you thought. I'm really going to attempt to stop saying so much, because that really bothers me. But it's such a word whisker that is so ingrained in me. Even if I know what I'm going to say next, I've got to put it there. So, but I'm really working on it. Did I just say it again? I'm really working on it. I might even edit this video to just kind of edit those out, because I know I've said it a million times already. So, I hope you're having a great day and a great life, and I will see you next time.